In the 1880s, God used two men with heavenly credentials to bring a most precious message to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, revealing God's intention to bring repentance, revival, and reformation. Both A.T. Jones and E.J. Waggoner were born in the 1850s, 1850 and 1855 respectively, putting them in the category of second-generation pioneers. In 1888, they were aged 33 and 38 and were part of a younger generation of ministers who were coming through. A.T. Jones was a convert to Adventism, whereas E.J. Waggoner was a son of an SDA pioneer, J.H. Waggoner. A.T. Jones was born in Ohio and enlisted as a private in the U.S. Army at the age of 20. He was stationed in the Southwest, in California, and in Walla Walla, Washington. While he was in Walla Walla, the Adventist Church sent its first minister there, Isaac Van Horn, along with his wife, Amelia. He pitched a 60-foot tent and held a series of lectures that A.T. Jones attended and was captivated by the messages as they were in line with voracious reading. He was convinced, convicted, and converted, and baptized in 1874. Following his baptism, he assisted evangelist Isaac Van Horn, learning from Van Horn how to be an evangelist. Despite not having a college education, he was an avid reader and soon became an accomplished speaker, distinguishing himself as an effective soul winner in the Lord's work. He began ministry at the age of 25. He got married at the age of 27 and got ordained at the age of 28. He would work in the Pacific Northwest for 10 years, given evangelistic responsibilities of his own before he moved down to California in 1884. When he got to California, he would meet and make friends with E.J. Waggoner. E.J. Waggoner was born as a sixth of 10 children in Wisconsin, though he would spend parts of his childhood in Michigan and New York State. He was part of the first class of students at Battle Creek College in 1874, choosing medicine as his field of study. He would go on to complete his medical degree at Long Island College Hospital in Brooklyn, New York, before becoming employed as a physician at Battle Creek Sanitarium in 1874, before marrying Jessie Moser in 1879. He would have a tremendous conversion experience at a camp meeting here in Oakland, California in 1882. Here is his incredible testimony. Many years ago, I sat in a tent one dismal rainy afternoon where a servant of the Lord was presenting the gospel of his grace. In the midst of the discourse, an experience came to me that was the turning point in my life. Suddenly a light shone about me and the tent seemed illumined as though the sun was shining. I saw Christ crucified for me, and to me was revealed for the first time in my life the fact that God loved me and that Christ gave himself for me personally. It was all for me. If I could describe my feelings, they would not be understood by those who have not had a similar experience, and to such, no explanation is necessary. I knew that this light that came to me was a revelation direct from heaven. Therefore, I knew that in the Bible, I should find the message of God's love for individual sinners. And I resolved that the rest of my life should be devoted to finding God's love there and making it plain to others. The light that shone upon me that day from the cross of Christ has been my guide in all my Bible study. Wherever I have turned in the sacred book, I have found Christ set forth as the power of God to the salvation of individuals, and I have never found anything else. Both Jones and Waggoner would serve as college professors at Healdsburg College, the forerunner of Pacific Union College. In 1885, they would serve as co-editors of the Signs of the Times magazine, and in 1886 as co-editors of the American Sentinel magazine, both based out of James White's house, which has been relocated to Preservation Park behind me. In 1887, Jones would serve as the pastor of the Healdsburg Church, while Waggoner would serve as the pastor of the Oakland Church, which was located just 2 blocks to my right. A.T. Jones would go on to hold many leadership positions and was one of the foremost minds in our church in regards to issues of religious liberty, famously appearing before Congress several times to defend the cause of religious freedom. E.J. Waggoner would serve the church as a missionary for 10 years here in Great Britain from 1892 to 1903 and was instrumental in the early growth of the church, with a membership rising from 257 to 1,182 and circulation of the present truth increasing from 1,500 per issue to 20,000 per issue in 1903. A.T. Jones was both a historian and an evangelist, and while E.J. Waggoner spent most of his years in ministry, having had quit as a physician in 1883, they both saw this partnership of gospel ministry and health ministry as important. In the New Testament we see this as well, with Paul the evangelist accompanied in his work by Luke the physician. This blending of gospel ministry and health ministry has always been a part of God's plan, and as a church we lose out when these two branches of evangelistic work are cut off one from another. Ellen White had great affection and support for both men, clearly seeing their potential and giftedness. On numerous occasions, she would describe them both as messengers of the Lord with a message from God for the Laodicean church. She would also describe them both as being Christian gentlemen. Both had amazing gifts and would be used dramatically by God. Unfortunately, they also suffered immense persecution, and their lives have many lessons that we can glean from today. May we be faithful and serve God, putting our whole intellect and passion into the work as did Jones and Waggoner.